President Bush is in Arizona today trying to jumpstart his plan for immigration reform. Blue-collar workers are not the only ones affected by this issue. Some of the country's highly skilled foreign workers are also following this closely, especially since the U.S. has already reached its limit for H1B visas for 2008. That occurred last week. Should the U.S. grant more visas to keep America great of the H1B form? Robert Hoffman, Oracle's Vice President of Congressional and Legislative Affairs, says yes, while Ron Hira, public policy professor at the Rochester Institute of Technology, disagrees. Nice to see you both back with us, gentlemen. Pleasure.
Great to be back. Thanks, Sue.
Let me start.
Thanks, Sue.
Let me start with you, if I could, Bob. You know, you've in the past said that this is very important, not just for your industry, the high-tech industry, but for all of America. You really do feel as though it's a competitive issue, correct?
Absolutely. I think this is at the forefront of our innovation agenda because, frankly, the H-1B program and the Green Card program are two programs that are in dire need of reform because for us it's about recruiting and retaining the very best and the very brightest. It's about making sure that we're not just filling jobs, but we're filling the jobs that create jobs. And we're seeing so many opportunities in fields like biotechnology, nanotechnology, green, fuel cell technology, that, frankly, if we're going to stay not just competitive in the high-tech arena, but in all of those technologies, we need to make sure that those young people that are coming out of our colleges and universities, half or more than half in some cases, are foreign-born. We want the opportunity to recruit and retain them.
What's wrong with that, Professor Hoffman?
Are you speaking to me, I assume,
Hira,
Professor Hira?
I'm sorry.
That's okay, Sue. Well, there's a couple of problems. One is that what Robert lays out is actually not how the H-1B works in practice. The firms that use the H-1B the most are firms that are actually outsourcing firms like Infosys, Wipro, whose whole business model is to ship as much work overseas as possible. And these are hardly the best and brightest that we're talking about, at least if you look at their wages. The median wage in 2005, which is the most recent data we have, is $50,000 for IT workers. That's below the entry-level wage for a bachelor's degree in computer science. So if these are the best and brightest, we would expect them to be paid at least what the market wage is. But that's part of the problem, is that the H-1B program doesn't actually force a market wage.
What about that, Robert?
Well, I mean, there are many ways to look at this program, and he talks about a couple of companies, but I can list companies like HP, Microsoft, Intel, Cisco, Sun, and of course Oracle, where the vast majority of those who are working in our companies are trying to use the H-1B program as a path to a green card. And the statistics are bearing out that we have shortages, particularly in software engineering, where we've seen job growth in the last 3 or 4 years of about 30%. The 17%. The unemployment rate is 1.7% for software engineers, and that's for Oracle. The fact of the matter is, and also again, when you have half and more than half that are coming out of our colleges and universities being foreign-born, that's the job pool. As far as the wages, though, the reality is that we have to, at Oracle, we have to pay them the prevailing wage or what we would pay any worker for that particular job, whichever is higher. And if it's a question of fraud or abuse, well, $500 out of every visa that's granted goes toward anti-fraud prevention. That's at least $47 million a year. And guess what? If you increase the H-1B program, you're increasing more money for anti-fraud programs.
Ron, if the H-1B visa expansion is not the answer to keeping America competitive in these particular areas, what is, in your opinion?
Well, the answer is to bring in the best and brightest and encourage them to stay here. There's no discussion or dispute there. The question is, do you have to do it with the H-1B, or can you do it through green cards? Can you do it through other mechanisms, or fix the H-1B program? What Robert's offering is a false choice. He says the only way that we can bring in the best and brightest is by expanding a program that is a cheap labor program that most of the outsourcing companies are dominating. So you have to displace workers in order to bring the best and brightest in. It doesn't make sense.
But with respect, Ron, we've heard from the likes of Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch that they can't get investment bankers into this country just to close deals because the immigration and the visa system in the United States is so antiquated. So then why not approach the H-1B side and at least address that part of it, separate it out from the entire immigration system? Would you agree to that or not?
Well, the issue is to fix the H-1B program. It's not a question of trying to shut out those $100,000 workers. The issue is, how do you fix it so that you bring those folks in without displacing U.S. workers, without outsourcing jobs, And so that's really the issue. It's not a question of whether we should bring in the best and brightest and keep them here.
Okay.
We should.
Bob, you get the last word.
Well, I think it's very clear. I think you can't fix one program, the green card program, which we all agree on, without fixing H-1B. That's the practical reality. It would be like saying, well, I support going to the moon, but I can't support the rocket program. And I think that, frankly, we need to do both.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. I know we'll have you, we're not done, so we'll have you both back hopefully very soon.
Thank you.